Okay, very well. So welcome everyone, and let's go ahead and get started on what is new in SAFe 5.0. The tagline we're very proud of is "It's your operating system for business agility." One of the inspirations that heavily influenced 5.0 was Mick Kirsten's writing, Project to Product. In here, he exposes us to the notion that we are moving very much well into the software age. So every company is a software company. Moving through the various ages from industrial revolution all the way to today, there's a pattern that was detected where every age has an installation period, a growth period, then some form of turning point or inflection point before the deployment period where it becomes the new normal. In our case, there's a lot of indications that we are well into this inflection point in the age of software and digital. And here are a few examples. BMW, they're expecting the number of their R&D employees to be more than half of them will be software developers. That's quite remarkable for an automotive company. Amazon and Whole Foods merged and are introducing cross-platform selling opportunities that we did not have before. As a matter of fact, Amazon has many other examples into entering new industrial spaces. The market cap of Tesla is now exceeding Ford Automotive, which is quite remarkable. And then another example, Apple is now the biggest watchmaker in the world. So there are many indications around us that the economy and how the business world is moving has definitely been shifting into a digital age. Looking at Mick's quote here, the problem is not with our organizations. They need to transform. The problem is that the organizations are using managerial frameworks and infrastructure models from the past revolutions, Taylorism and other methods. So we need to be able to kind of advance how we operate our operating models in order to support this new digital age for survival. We also look at John Cotter's book, Accelerate. The world is now changing at a rate at which basic system structures and cultures built over the past century cannot keep up. So there needs to be a fundamental shift, a fundamental new way of operating. So these are all some of the inspirations that you will see now have influenced 5.0. So let's start to dive in. First, we want to introduce on the right-hand side how SAFe has truly introduced networks, cross-functional networks that optimize the speed of innovation. We call those agile teams of teams, agile release trains. They are customer-centric. They cross boundaries and organizations in order to optimize the delivery of value to our customers. But on the left-hand side, we have to also recognize that there are traditional established structures that are your organizational hierarchies. You have functional departments, specialized departments, your marketing, your sales, your finance, different business operations. All of those organizations nurture people, grow their talent, and they provide the efficiency and stability. And we need to be able to marry the two. The two seem to be two conflicting models, but in reality, what we learned from Cotter is that we can have the term a dual operating system. And that's what we've begun to recognize in Scale the Agile, and we're very excited, is we're putting SAFe framework to marry the two constructs, the networks for our value stream delivery, and then the functional hierarchy for our stability. And we kind of merge the two components in a way that works together. So with that, we introduce SAFe 5.0, the operating system for business agility. Taking a quick pause, you will notice many changes in the SAFe big picture. Structurally, we have now 7 competencies. 6 of them are listed to the left-hand side. Leadership remains in the center and the bottom as the foundation. We have also highlighted and segmented all the roles. There are various changes that you will notice within each of the configurations: essential, large, solution, and portfolio. So we will go through each of those in the next few slides. SAFe 5.0 is now available, and it is available in preview mode. So preview mode is when you go into the Scaled Agile framework. There's a banner up top that flashes that allows you to kind of click on it. So SAFe 5.0 brings the focus back to what it takes to bring great solutions to the marketplace. We are no longer restricting into systems or technology systems building. We're saying we want holistic end-to-end solutions, business solutions that bring value into the marketplace. And our definition of business agility? Well, achieving a state of business agility means that the entire organization, not just development, is engaged in continually and proactively delivering innovative business solutions faster than the competition. It's a sense and respond. We want to have the ability, using SAFe, to create the environment where we can consistently sense and respond to these changes and digital disruptions as a matter of our everyday business. Business agility is going to require both a technical agility, we are not walking away from that, that's our foundation, plus a business level commitment to the product and value stream thinking. So everybody, that's the big shift. Everyone is now involved in delivering business solutions, and we want them to be in a lean, agile environment. So let's start to dive deeper a little bit into the big picture. A few highlights. Starting out front and center, it is business agility. So clearly that is our objective, that is the goal we're trying to achieve. So you will see that with the relevant article and materials behind it. As I mentioned earlier, there are a couple of structural changes on the visual itself, but many of the similar components, including the competencies, which we will cover. There are 2 new competencies that have been added. So we went from 5 competencies to 7. And those 2 competencies are organizational agility and continuous learning culture. And then finally, there were 2 competencies that were there in prior version. However, we have renamed them. So what used to be business solutions and lean systems engineering, it is now a simpler enterprise solution delivery. That is for the large, complex systems that require integration of the entire supply chain and many arts collaborating together. The second competency that was renamed was the DevOps and release on demand. Those became dimensions within the new competency, but now it is broader, entitled Agile Product Delivery. And our initial tests, the renaming seems to be winning hearts and minds of people at this point. So the 7 competencies of business agility. Let's go and explore them one by one. First, this is a quick visual that will also be available to you on the website. It summarizes the 7 competencies. At the center of all the competencies is customer centricity. Customer is going to be at the heart of everything that we are focusing on, and with that comes also customer-centric thinking and techniques and principles that will be that are incorporated in 5.0. On the left-hand side are the execution-related competencies. On the right-hand side are the strategy or strategic focused competencies. And then, as always, at the foundation of all of it is lean agile leadership, as they take on the active role of leading the transformation. So starting out with the team and technical agility competency, Agile teams are at the foundation of everything we do, and it's the beginning part of our network. This competency now has three dimensions. Agile teams, the concepts that we've learned before about high-performing teams that are cross-functional, those are very much supported and remain. There's the concept of, or the dimension of team of agile teams, which is your broader agile release train collaborating together for solutions. And of course, all the built-in quality practices that establish flow and derived from XP and engineering practices such as collective code ownership, automation, pairing and peer review, and all of those are all bundled, and they are still front and center. Now, what's interesting is you will notice on the big picture itself, we have the essential configuration, which we've had, but we no longer have a line dividing program and team layers. That has now been replaced with one configuration with everybody quite needed in order to deliver on value and solutions in Essential Safe. So Essential Safe is now removing two layers and collapsing. Another interesting thing, if you look closely at the icon for the Agile team, we used to have the naming convention from Scrum, which called the group of people on the left-hand side dev team. Since we are now no longer talking about software teams only, we are also talking about potentially business agile teams. We wanted to remove that restriction and say you have a team, and that within your agile team, it has a product owner and a scrum master. For business agile teams, I mean, this is new, and we are definitely exploring and experimenting in that area. We want them to learn and embrace the agile mindset. We articulate it in the House of Lean, in the Agile Manifesto, and all the principles that we teach of flow. Secondly, we don't want them to be separate. We want them to join the value stream. We want business agile teams to be very much part of the value delivery and integrated. And then finally, we recognize the specialty areas or departments such as agile marketing, agile finance, and agile HR, and those have a place as well. Next competency is agile product delivery. That is the one that used to be called DevOps and Release on Demand. So what have we done? Well, we've broadened it. We definitely continue to have develop on a cadence, release on demand as a dimension, which is the decoupling of the releasing versus the development and deployment. And that is a function of business or customer readiness. We also have the DevOps and continuous delivery pipeline, which is essential. That was a big innovation in our 4.0 release. So that continues to be front and center. What is unique and new is a very strong focus on customer centricity. And that's going to be manifested quite clearly in one of our new courses, the Agile Product and Solution Management course, which brings into the framework known innovation, customer-centric design, techniques and principles. So that very much becomes part of our SAFE framework. Customer centricity is also on the big picture, front and center. Taking a closer look, we've definitely embraced the double diamond of customer-centric design, where we attack the problem space with discovery and definition, various techniques, Gemba walks, personas, empathy maps, etc. And then you have on the right-hand side, the solution space, where we're designing the right solution with rapid prototyping, story mapping, journey maps, and other techniques. All of those are working together in order for our product management groups in our safe instances to be able to introduce products that are at the central point of desirable, feasible, and viable. So we need to have a very clear understanding of our target market and the problems it's facing and design appropriately. You will see in there techniques such as user personas, which have been used in the community for quite a while, and now we're embracing it, bringing it in. Empathy maps. We shifted the feature benefit matrix. We flipped it so it's benefit features. So here are the benefits I am seeking as a persona and various feature options or potential features to address. We also are now embracing customer journey mapping, which is a design thinking tool for the operational value streams. This is where we start to marry the two sides of our equation, where we started with operational value streams and safe, and now we're bringing in the journeys. Techniques like story mapping, which have been in the Agile community for a while, and prototyping. Prototyping becomes critical, especially as we embrace more aspects of experimentation and lean startup thinking. Back to the big picture, we also made a significant visual change that is conveying the following message. We used to have continuous exploration, continuous integration, continuous delivery in the oval shapes above, which may have been incorrectly interpreted as phases, but in reality, what we are trying to convey now clearly is that continuous exploration, integration, and deployment activities are happening in parallel every PI, every iteration throughout. So this is a much better depiction of the continuous nature of our delivery pipeline. This is a small but I'm sure welcome change. If you remember, in PI planning, one of the outputs is one of the key outputs is each team delivers their PI objectives, writes them in clear, concise business terms, and we used to have a term called stretch objective. We are changing the term stretch to uncommitted objectives. This is to help alleviate some of the confusion in the marketplace and for us to stand firm on the definition of the uncommitted objectives being objectives that still are planned within the team's capacity. However, for reasons of complexity and unknown, they become uncommitted. Moving on to the next competency, it's the enterprise solution delivery. This is where we're talking about your largest, most complex systems that require multiple companies, multiple suppliers, hardware, software. And in here, I believe you are looking at an image, perhaps from NASA, building a satellite, maybe. So in such solutions, you will require multiple Agile release trains to work and coordinate together closely as a solution train. It becomes essential to coordinate the trains and the suppliers, so the entire supply chain, for those sensitive solutions. We also continue to emphasize the notion of a solution intent that is helping the various arts collaborate, and that intent for our solution moves from variable to fixed over time using systems engineering techniques, as well as QMS and compliance become lean QMS, which is more continuous integration and testing throughout the journey. And then finally, in the bottom, we talk about continually evolving those live systems. So large solution is definitely there. The Best practices for large solution have been slightly evolved and refined, so we've added a couple. But basically, we're talking about refining your fixed and variable solution intent, applying multiple planning horizons, architecting for scale, for the releasability, for serviceability, for testing across the various platforms and arts, continually addressing compliance concerns in such environments, building and integrating with the Agile release trains and the solution train together, and applying more continuous or continue-ish integration of that solution throughout the PI, even though it may not be as frequent as within each art. Managing the supply chain, so having the suppliers front and center and very much within the process to have systems thinking. Applying continuous delivery pipeline and evolving deployed systems. So these are the 9 best practices for solution delivery, enterprise solution delivery. And with that, I want to move into lean portfolio management. So the same way we had breakthroughs with our product and customer-centric thinking, we have also had a breakthrough with our lean portfolio management with also the new course, LPM, the 3-day course that was introduced this year. In lean portfolio management, we elaborate on 3 types of collaborations that need to happen within the organization. One is for strategy and investment funding. That's your highest level fiduciaries and decision makers, collaborating on how to fund the value streams and what are the priorities strategically for the organization and the portfolio specifically, and linking it very strongly to your enterprise strategy. The second collaboration is your Agile portfolio operations. These are the operations that are going to help us achieve excellence in operating, as well as the coordination of execution at a high level. And then finally, lean governance, and that's where we are touching areas such as budgeting in a dynamic way, and compliance and other portfolio concerns. And here we wanted to intimate that the portfolio itself will be defined with certain tools and measures to provide that portfolio context. And it's going to be very closely tied with the enterprise strategy. As a matter of fact, one will feed the other, and it will be a continuous process. Going to strategic themes, they are now described as OKRs. So in the simplest OKR format, we have an objective, in this case, increase customer engagement in our community platform. But then for each objective, for each of those strategic themes, it has to have key results that are tied to it, so that we can measure the progress of our strategic themes and shift our thinking into business outcomes. So the focus here, again, from business agility perspective, is that we are focusing on, are we achieving the business outcomes so that we can address our market needs as needed, rather than focusing on outputs. The OKRs, while we are very excited to introduce them into the SAFe framework, one difference you will note is that we have only tied them at the portfolio level strategic themes, and we have stopped at that level. The portfolio vision is another area where we have elaborated how do you actually define your portfolio vision. So tools have been provided, starting out with the SWOT analysis, which helps us understand the current state of where we are, our internal strengths, weaknesses, external opportunities, and threats. We're also embracing TOES analysis. That's another technique where you take the same inputs from the SWOT analysis, and now you start to articulate what can we do towards a future state there. And all of that gets to influence our articulation of our portfolio vision, the tool we're going to use in the bottom of the picture is a portfolio canvas. It is elaborated from the traditional BMC or business model canvas, and we've modified it so that it includes relevant value proposition, economics, and activities of your portfolio. We start by aligning on a current state canvas, and then in design thinking fashion, we're going to have some divergent thinking and evaluate multiple future state options of your portfolio canvas. And then we come back together and we converge, just like design thinking, into a single future state portfolio canvas. Now, what's important in this exercise is that you are aligning the portfolio leaders on where we should be heading. So we are deriving and aligning on strategy at the same time. And then the delta between the current state and the future state are going to be a series of epics that will be written to help us get to that future state. Another key influence here, we always wanted to have a portfolio Kanban and optimize flow at the portfolio level, but now we further elaborate the implementing state. In implementing, we are focusing on the epics having a clearly articulated MVP or minimally viable product that gets approved and validated using leading indicators. And when that validation occurs, the epic can either persevere. In this case, it moves to the persevere side. We're saying it is no longer a decision-making concern from a strategy investment funding LPM perspective, but it is getting handled, and the decision authority now happens at the art levels. Let's go ahead and showcase the picture I was describing. So here we've embraced the lean startup cycle, and we're saying every epic, as it gets analyzed, it has to have an MVP that gets approved. So the go decision is not for the entire epic. It is to build and evaluate an MVP using leading indicators that are predetermined. If the epic hypothesis is not proven, we can do one of two things. One, we can stop the epic without any further investment, or two, we can pivot and say, you know what, now that we understand the market and the problem better, we needed a different epic. So you go back to the cycle and you create a new epic hypothesis. Going back to the first diamond, hypothesis proven, if we did prove it as yes, in this case, it's a persevere. And now the epic is no longer an LPM concern. We will have visibility to it. However, now the Agile release trains and the solution train have the decision-making authority to continue with relevant features based on weighted shortest job first. So you continue with the epic as long as those features are bubbling up in the priority. Very different way of thinking. Now let's introduce the first new competency, which is organizational agility. Organizational agility is really talking about having lean thinking people. So we want everybody in our organization to have embraced the principles, the House of Lean, the manifesto, have taken the way of behaving and thinking from Agile. And we want them to both help us lean out the business operations. So there's opportunities to look at our business operations, apply techniques to remove friction, remove delays in our business operations to optimize the flow of value, as well as we want them to handle strategy agility. And strategy agility is where we're really growing our sense capabilities and are able to look at our strategy and adapt it on a regular basis. So the first example was leaning out an operation. This is a simple example where you look at certain steps and the delays baked in. And in this case, your flow efficiency or your time efficiency is quite low, 14%. So we look at things, processes like these, and we figure out ways to how to optimize them. end to end. So this is no longer the domain of DevOps. This is no longer only or software delivery only. We are saying any solution or business operation can go through such improvement. Strategy agility, again, we're talking continuous market sensing to see what is happening, what is changing, being able to predict and anticipate, being very close to our market, our competition, and various levers outside, being able to make strategy decisions decisively. So if we have to pivot, we are able to make that decision together, and we are able to pivot together. So we organize and reorganize around value, innovate just like a startup, and implement changes quickly. So this is pretty exciting because this is the first time that we actually articulate it in such strong terms. And again, big component towards business agility. This is our other or second new competency, which is the continuous learning culture. The continuous learning culture, we've articulated 3 dimensions. 1, learning organization. We want to get to a point where our employees, all of our employees, are continuously learning and growing and building on their skills. So we are constantly adapting to where the market is heading in terms of skills and needs. We also talk about innovation culture, and you will see that in many of the practices that SAFE had already embraced, such as making the time and space for innovation through the IP, or the innovation and planning iteration, having various methods for exploration, going to Gemba, experimentation, that becomes part of baked in and part of our way of operating, and then pivoting without mercy or guilt. So innovation culture definitely is something that is now front and center in SAFE 5.0. And then finally, relentless improvement. We continue to focus on the learning cycle, plan, do, check, adjust, and continuously improving and optimizing. We want that culture to become part of the DNA of the organization. And with that, what we would be creating together is what they call in the innovation community an innovation riptide. So it's that innovation comes in waves. And for us to kind of catch that wave, we need to have all of these sensing, exploration, and continuous improvement efforts working together. Lean Agile leadership also got a facelift. We continue with the emphasis that a Lean Agile leader needs to physically lead the transformation, as well as embrace the Lean Agile mindset and principles. We also added to that moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And then leading by example is a new dimension that we are signaling out, which is we talk about authenticity, authentic leadership, emotional intelligence, being lifelong learners, growing others. All of these work together to build and support our Lean Agile leaders so that they can actually change the system towards business agility. The House of Lean got a few components that you see here on the screen added, again, in the 5.0 fashion to support overall end-to-end business agility. The SAFE 9 principles now have a 10th principle that we always felt was very important, but never actually broke it out as its own separate principle. So this is communicating how important it is. And that 10th principle is organizing around value. Organizing around value is going to be critical for us to have the right solutions going out to market, to optimize the flow, to optimize the speed of innovation while we're working across silos. Organizing our networks, our teams and teams of teams around value is going to yield us a tremendous benefit, and it's going to be a catalyst towards us even achieving business agility. On the roadmap itself, there have been a few updates. We introduced the 2 new courses. The first one you will see twice, Lean Portfolio Management, and you'll notice we've introduced it at the beginning when you train the executives, as well as towards the bottom of the page when you're extending to the portfolio. And that's a pattern that we've started to see in the marketplace. Some organizations are opting not to wait to start to transform to Lean Agile Portfolio Management until they've had many arts or many value streams on SAFe. Instead, they want to start that journey in parallel. So that, in a way, that softened that message and at least enables our executives earlier on in the journey to know what to work towards. The second one is Agile Product and Solution Management, and that is the course that is bringing quite a bit of the customer-centric product strategy elements into the SAFe framework that we're very proud of. You'll also notice on the bottom side the notion accelerate. It used to be called sustain. So we truly now are saying, instead of now you just sustain the few arts that you've launched, now you're actually accelerating them. You're breaking through to business agility. And then the other important thing to note on this roadmap is the circle on the top right-hand corner. Our metrics now include measure and grow, and that's referencing the new business agility assessment that we can address. So, measure and grow. We recognize the journey to business agility is not an overnight journey, and it will take quite a few revolutions of innovation and evolving our mindset and practices throughout the organization and figuring out things for solution delivery, business solution delivery. So together we needed a tool to help give our Lean Agile leaders and Center of Excellence LACE members a way to gauge where they are and where to chart the path going forward towards business agility. So a new assessment has been introduced. It is available to you right now on the preview site, and this assessment you can utilize it, analyze the results, identify opportunities for your own roadmap to grow, and then perform weighted shortest job first or some form of prioritization mechanism to figure out where do I need to focus on next in order to keep advancing towards business agility. Currently, where do you find SAFe 5.0? It is at a preview mode. The URL is listed here in orange, V5 preview. It will be available today until the end of the year. In January, SAFe 5.0 will become the main picture on the Scaled Agile Framework website. At that point in time, don't you worry, if you still need to continue with 4.6, that will still be available to you, except you will have to go into a separate URL to access it. So with that, I wanted to open it up and get your thoughts, perhaps, and your questions.
Hey, Dina. Sorry, Dina, this is Ritu. I'd like to know something about the design thinking that is included in 5.0.
So the design thinking is the various techniques have been incorporated. We are using the design thinking double diamond plus the techniques that I listed briefly. To go in depth, I would highly recommend you take a look at the Agile Product and Solution Management new course, APSM. If you need a quicker answer, it is also available to you right now at the SAFe preview site to simply just click that design thinking icon, and it will take you to a full-blown article that lists all the various aspects. I gave you a few hints in this presentation, but the end-to-end is going to be there on the article.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Ritu.
Dima, hi, it's Chris here. Just a quick question. If 5.0 is going live technically from January onwards. Is the assumption correct that all the training material will be updated accordingly by that date, and we can reference it through the enablers, or will there be some sort of slow progression of training material update?
There will be a progression of updating the training materials. The January date is for the safe big picture. So right now you're able to see it in preview mode, but in January it will become the new picture. The courses will be updated. There will be further communication on which courses in what date, but we are definitely working towards early in the year. Now, just like prior updates, when we introduce new courses, there's a period of time that we allow for the prior version to run in parallel until they are sunset. So all of that is actually addressed in detail, and we continue to update it. So I recommend you kind of take a look at it. We have an FAQ link on the site, and I'll also make sure to send it to Paul to share it with the rest of you for the FAQs.
Thank you.
Yeah, we recognize that when you're leading a large transformation in your own organization, you cannot keep changing the version mid-cycle, mid art launch, for instance. So there needs to be a period of time for a comfortable upgrade or transition. Now for SPCs, I believe material will become available, and I don't have the date. I will send you that as a follow-up, but it will become available for all SPCs and other SAFe certified people to actually upgrade their knowledge into the new 5.0. And so stay tuned, that should be coming.
Yeah.
There was a question that came through chat. Any organizations where new version 5 ideas have been tried, or is it just recommendation? Actually, no. Version 5.5 concept, 5.0 concepts have been actually tried, I guess is the term you used, implemented. Several experiments have been run in large organizations. So we're very happy about that. That was the basis of a lot of how it evolved. I cannot list all of them, but I can tell you, for instance, the new LPM content and material actually was implemented in several senior leader LPM teams at a couple of companies very, very successfully. So as we're implementing it, we were learning and adapting as well. There was a question, when will SPC start training on leading SAFe 5.0? We will have to take the SPC 5.0 exam before that. Can you please just clarify the question for me? I'm a little... Are you asking when will the upgrade material be available? Are you asking when will the 4.6 courses be sunset? I'm not too clear on the question.
So I guess we're not sure who asked the question. Maybe Dima, maybe like any questions related to certifications and all that, we can probably communicate by email. I mean, general questions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a follow-up. Do SPC4s have to retake the SPC exam for 5.0? So the answer is yes. If you're going to teach 5.0 versions of the courses, you will have to upgrade. All upgrade aids, articles, videos, enablement will be available to all SPCs free of charge. And that will include an upgrade exam. Now, more details can be found on the FAQ website, which I can share with Paul and the ALEPH group after this call.
But I'm sorry, it's Chris again. I'm presuming that's going to be very similar to doing the enablers and the little exam that goes with each of the enabler packages, right? That in the same sort of mindset and methodology?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Except the exam is not, the exam is going to be focused on the 5.0 upgrade items.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Our goal is not to retest you. Our goal is to make sure that you are most confident and educated on the newest thinking.
A couple of general questions that came through the chat. So the slides are available on the Scaled Agile website, and we did share that link on the chat as well.
Correct.
The second question about the recording. So we are recording this call, so we will be sharing this recording. So it will be on our cloud. We will eventually, we will share this link, a recording of this link as well.
Yeah. And just a funny notation, Paul is very aware of this. The slides were published on the SAFE website literally minutes before we got on the call. So you are getting hot off the press, the latest and greatest. Scaled Agile has to explain about 5.0.
Thank you. Thanks to Scaled Agile.
And to ALEPH for making it available.
Appreciate it.
Matt. Hello, Matt. He referenced that there's some great info about the upgrade dates on the partner call yesterday. Yes, and I believe the partner call was recorded and resent out to partners. All of that information is also on the website. How are we doing on questions? Thank you, Matt. So another really key point here is when you're an SPC and you do your 5.0 upgrade, that automatically upgrades you on all other courses. So you don't have to do individual upgrades per course for an SPC. Great point. Have you present, Matt? Any other notes or questions?
So Dina, this is Ritu again.
Hi, Ritu.
So your new course, the one for the Agile product delivery, there's some certification you mentioned besides LPM. Is it something SPC taught course or SPCT?
It is an SPC taught course.
Oh.
The acronym is APSM, Agile Product and Solution Management. It's already live. We went through several alpha classes, beta classes, official first teach live, and then at the SAFE Summit, it was taught as a regular new class. So now it is live, and many partners are teaching it. And if you're an SPC and you pass the enablement, then you'll be able to teach it. Now, I have to give you a little word of caution. A lot of the content came in with our introduction to Continue, which is a wonderful innovation and product management firm that Scaled Agile acquired, and with the thought leader Luke Holman. So with him coming on board and becoming part of our framework team, he brought in some wonderful product management disciplines into that course. So it's going to look and feel very different than your typical SAFE courses that you've gotten accustomed to. So it's wonderful material, but I've heard it from people that are preparing to teach it, that it takes quite a bit of study because you're learning a brand new domain, a very exciting new domain, but it is brand new. So you learn things about product pricing, right? Whoever dealt with that before, right? Yeah. Product pricing, product strategy, the different horizons of growth. And then we bring in a lot of UX techniques, innovation innovation techniques, design thinking techniques. All of those are all bundled in an end-to-end course that kind of works together. It's wonderful. It's getting great reception.
Okay.
Similarly with LPM, SPCs can teach it when they pass the enablement, but we do put one caveat, and it's an honor system. The caveat we put is that we ask you, can you confirm that you have had portfolio experience in the past? Because you'll also see a lot of new concepts coming from strategy, budgeting, the lean portfolio world, where we are confident you can deliver the slides, but the type of audience that's attending those classes actually are coming from PMOs and are coming from portfolio leadership roles, where their questions are going to be quite taxing if you've never been exposed to that world in real life. So this is one of those where we can't govern it, but we highly recommend that you actually have portfolio experience to teach it. Otherwise, you will struggle a little bit.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dima, hi, it's Chris here again. Can you just give me a heads up? I mean, obviously the APSM course that you've now put on is typically gravitated or aimed towards a product management, product audience, but the word solution management kind of leads me to another direction. What would you say is the typical audience you're pitching that one to?
Yeah. The audience in industry terms, it's going to be product management, right? The product manager at eBay, the product manager at XYZ. So these are your product strategists. These are your product managers that are responsible for the P&L of your products in the marketplace. The reason we put solution management is to also address the fact that you have product lines that sometimes you have like a product manager of product managers. And we recognize that maybe at this point, maybe the naming is adding a little bit to the confusion. But if you want the industry term, it's product management. That's the discipline that most recognize.
Is the intent to replace the product owner course, or is that going to remain?
It's going to remain. So you still need product owners to play a role with the Agile teams and within the art, and the POPM kind of addresses that. The APSM addresses more of the continuous exploration, product positioning, packaging aspects.
Okay, I got it.
Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah. And so what you guys are picking up on something really exciting for us as well is that we're tackling two new personas that in the past we haven't had direct courseware for. One is your innovative, creative, market-facing product management groups. And the other one is your lean portfolio managers, the people that handle your planning, your budgeting, your highest level fiduciaries. Both of those audiences, we're addressing them with the appropriate new content that solves their problems. We're not regurgitating old safe material. You will be pleasantly surprised when you go through the courses. A lot of new stuff.
So is it going to change, Dina, the product owner PMPO course going forward because we have the product management separate?
Yes. So all of our courses are going to get, when they get upgraded into 5.0, they're going to have updates to their thinking so that it's now cohesive and all of 5.0 courses work together in one big system. PMPO, because of the level of new thinking that was introduced with APSM, POPM is going to get some new techniques in there that were not there before. But again, I'm not able to kind of give you the final answer. Our wonderful learning and cert people are working on it as we speak.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that's good news though to hear that PPM is getting a facelift.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the wonderful thing about 5.0. We've been getting a lot of feedback that a lot of the changes are welcome changes. The market has been, you guys have been waiting for it and telling us for a while on a lot of those aspects. Now it all comes together. And we're very excited also about the direction of business agility. We feel very confident of the way we're approaching it.
It's been very useful, very informative, Dina.
Let me And thank you very much for your patience and good questions. Paul, back to you.
All right, thank you, folks. We really appreciate your time, and thanks to Scaled Agile, Dima, and Leslie helped us with this webinar. We've been planning a lot, and thanks to our clients. So just a quick note, we are not offering any 5.0 courses yet because we're still waiting for the content. So still at this moment, we're doing still 4.6, whether it be training, coaching, and consulting, transformation side of the business. So thanks to everybody. Thanks to all the SPCs who joined. If you have any questions, feel free to send us. You have our email address. And please follow us on social media as well. And thanks to the team.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.